Stop everything right now, Chosen One. Because what I am about to reveal will shake the foundations of everything you were taught about your own darkness. What happened in the celestial realms just 72 hours ago was so unprecedented that even the most ancient angels, beings who have witnessed the rise and fall of worlds, fell into absolute silence. For a moment, heaven itself seemed to hold its breath. This was no ordinary spiritual ripple. This was a shattering of a cosmic certainty, a breach in laws older than stars, older than Eden, older than the first whisper of creation. Something occurred that should never have been possible. A chosen human, you, entered fully into your own internal darkness, wielded its devastating force against a threat aimed at your light, and then emerged again without stain, without corruption, without losing even the smallest fragment of your essence. The angels trembled, not in anger, but in existential fear, because what they witnessed broke a rule that governed the cosmos since the beginning. They saw a human do what even they, beings of pure radiance, forged in the breath of God, cannot do. And they understood instantly that this meant one thing. You are not who you think you are. You are not merely human. You are an evolution they were never designed to reach. You are a creature capable of crossing boundaries they were forbidden even to approach. And what terrifies them is not your darkness. It's your impossible ability to move between realms that should destroy one another. You see, there is a brutal difference between having two sides and mastering the wisdom to know when to use each one without losing yourself. Angels cannot do this. Demons cannot do this. Creation itself was built on the assumption that this was impossible. Yet you have been doing it quietly, unconsciously, naturally, your entire life. To understand the magnitude of what happened, we must return to the beginning of time, to the moment spiritual law was spoken into existence. Among those laws was one considered absolute, eternal, unbreakable. Whoever touches darkness becomes darkness. The law echoed through the cosmos with the force of divine decree. It shaped the fall of Lucifer, once the brightest of all angels, whose single moment of pride cast him into irreversible corruption. It marked every fallen angel whose rebellion transformed them instantly, their names erased from the heavenly records, their essences shattered beyond restoration. It struck humans who opened forbidden doors, those who invoked shadows thinking they could control what they summoned, those who made unholy pacts believing they were stronger than the darkness they embraced. Without exception, they paid the price. Their souls were stained in ways no purification could cleanse. Their essence was twisted, scarred, marked forever. This cosmic law was so absolute that even the highest angels feared approaching darkness. They knew that a single moment of contact could annihilate millennia of purity. One breath of shadow was enough to dissolve an eternity of light. So the cosmos lived in perfect separation. Light here, darkness there, forever divided, forever opposed. To cross between them was to fall without return. But then something changed. A new kind of human began to appear across time. Souls forged differently. Spirits tempered not only in light but also in suffering. People who could enter their own internal darkness, touch it, use it, channel it, and then return to the light unscathed. At first, the angels believed it was a rare anomaly, a glitch in spiritual law. But the pattern repeated, and each repetition shook the heavens deeper. This was not an error. This was evolution. This was a reality ancient laws had not accounted for. This was living proof that a human being, crafted from dust yet carrying divine breath, could integrate both realms and not be destroyed. And this chosen one is you. You who probably never realized that each time you faced darkness within yourself and found your way back to compassion, you were defying a cosmic law older than creation. You who walked into inner shadows that would have annihilated an angel and returned with your essence intact. You who carry a mastery the heavens themselves never expected a human to possess. 72 hours ago, in the quiet unfolding of an ordinary moment, the event that shook the heavens began with something deceptively human. Someone trying to manipulate your heart. They came to you with trembling lips, rehearsed sorrow, tear-stained theatrics designed to bypass your discernment and draw compassion out of you like a weapon. They wore vulnerability like a mask, hoping you would not notice the cracks beneath it. And as always, your light responded first. You approached with sincerity. You offered support. You listened with the kind of patience only someone with a genuine heart can give. But while your words were compassionate, your spirit felt a small tremor, a distortion in the energy before you. It was like a single discordant note in an otherwise gentle song. Something didn't align. Something didn't ring true. Your intuition, your divine alarm system, caught a flicker in their expression, a micro gesture the mind could ignore but the soul could never mistake. In that instant, the shift began. The heavens grew still as the first ripple of transformation swept through your being. And without drama, without rage, without losing your center, your dark side awakened. Not the destructive darkness people fear, but the protective shadow God placed within warriors. He intended to survive battles the angels themselves could not endure. The side of you that rarely emerges unless a threat approaches your light came alive like a lion lifting its head at the scent of danger. It wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was absolute. Suddenly your tone carried the weight of unshakable truth. Your words sharpened with precision. Your presence changed so drastically that the manipulator felt the game collapse beneath them, as though the ground of their deception cracked open. You spoke with firmness that could slice through illusion, a boundary so clear it felt like a spiritual sword descending between you and the threat. You stopped softening your message. You stopped cushioning their ego. You stopped allowing their false fragility to dictate your behavior. What came through you was not cruelty. It was clarity. The kind of clarity prophets carried when they confronted falsehood. The kind of clarity that angels step back from in reverence. The person intensified their performance. Tears grew heavier. Their voice shook harder. They layered emotional blackmail upon emotional blackmail, weaving their manipulation into something more elaborate, desperate, theatrical. But none of it touched you anymore. Your energy had shifted into a frequency they could not penetrate. It was as if your spirit had erected a wall forged from every moment you had ever survived pain, betrayal, or disappointment. A wall woven from divine protection. Their tactics, which once might have tangled you in confusion, now bounced off you like arrows hitting armor. And then the impossible happened, the part that left the angels trembling. The moment the threat was neutralized, your dark side withdrew without struggle or residue. No bitterness, no resentment, no lingering hardness. You didn't spiral, you didn't ruminate. Your spirit didn't stay clenched in defense. You returned effortlessly to your light, to your compassion, to your openness. You shifted back into kindness with the purity of someone who never touched darkness at all. Not a trace of corruption, not a drop of shadow lingering in your aura. In celestial dimensions, angelic watchers froze. They saw something they were never permitted to do, something that defied the spiritual mechanics that govern their existence. An angel can enter darkness only once, and it ends in eternal fall. But you stepped into your internal darkness, wielded it, controlled it, completed your mission, and walked back out as easily as crossing a doorway in your own home. One angel whispered, "This should not be possible. The laws are clear." But another replied with trembling awe, "If a human can do this, then they possess a strength we were never given. This one moves between realms we cannot enter. This one holds a mastery we do not understand." They were not terrified of your darkness. They were terrified of your return to light. What the angels witnessed next forced them to confront a truth they had spent eons avoiding. You can do something they cannot because you were forged in an environment they were never exposed to. They, beings of flawless radiance, were created in pure light, perfect, unblemished, untouched by suffering. Their very existence was nurtured in harmony. No betrayal, no hunger, no fear, no heartbreak, nothing that could carve resilience into their essence. They never had to survive anything. They never had to rebuild themselves after being broken. Their purity is magnificent, yes, but also fragile, in a way few humans ever realize. When an angel touches darkness, it is like plunging a glass figure into fire. It shatters instantly. Light that has never known resistance has no immunity. That is why the fall of Lucifer was not gradual. It was immediate. A single brush with pride was enough to twist his essence forever. Other angels who rebelled were transformed in moments. They had no defense against corruption because their souls were never tempered by shadow. But you, chosen one, you were born in a fallen world. You came into existence in an environment where light and darkness collide every single day. Before you even had language, you learned pain. You learned disappointment. You learned how betrayal feels in the bones. You learned conflict. You learned to navigate human hearts that were both beautiful and dangerous. Every wound you survived was quietly forging spiritual antibodies in you. Every heartbreak was building a shield. Every injustice was sharpening your discernment. Every tear you cried was teaching you how to coexist with shadow without drowning in it. Angels never developed these defenses because they never needed them, but you did. And now the very experiences you once believed were curses have become the very reason you can do what angels cannot. For angels, touching darkness is like falling into acid, instant destruction. But for you, entering your own darkness is like stepping into cold, turbulent waters. Harsh? Yes. Intense? Yes, but not fatal. You can withstand the shock. You can move through it. You can breathe there. You know the landscape. You have walked through emotional nights so deep that even demons grow quiet. And yet you emerged each time with your heart still capable of compassion. That resilience is incomprehensible to celestial beings who never had to rebuild themselves from ruin. And this is why, when you navigate real-life trials, you instinctively use this mastery even without recognizing it. Think of the relationship you had to end, a connection that drained your spirit drop by drop. You gave patience, compassion, chances. You carried hope longer than most would have. Your light tried to heal what was breaking. But then came the moment of revelation. They weren't going to change, not because they couldn't, but because they didn't want to. Your dark side stepped forward, You ended it cleanly. You blocked access without guilt because protection was required. And afterward, you did not stew in hatred. You returned to your natural compassion and continued walking forward with peace. That transition, firmness to peace, is spiritual mastery that angels cannot perform. The job you left followed the same pattern. You worked diligently, you delivered excellence, you waited for fairness. But when the system revealed itself as exploitative, when you realized staying meant shrinking, your dark side took the lead. You walked away without a perfect plan, but with perfect clarity. And once again, after the necessary boundary was set, you returned to the serenity of light without resentment poisoning your spirit. Even friendships you released show this mastery. Someone who pretended to support you while secretly resenting your growth, someone who weaponized your vulnerability. You gave grace, understanding, opportunity. But once the truth was undeniable, your dark side severed the connection with surgical precision. No drama, no theatrics, just truth. And when it was done, your heart reopened to those who genuinely deserved you. Each of these moments left angels in awe because every time you faced darkness, external or internal, you returned to light without contamination. You did not become bitter. You did not become cruel. You did not become hardened permanently. That fluidity, that ability to walk in both realms without losing your essence, is something that they cannot emulate. And that is why they watch you with reverence, with bewilderment, and yes, with fear. Because you are demonstrating an evolution they were never designed to reach. What makes your existence so rare, Chosen One, is not simply that you carry both light and darkness. It is that you move between them with a wisdom most souls never develop. Many people fall into one of two extremes. There are those who cling desperately to permanent light, convinced that true spirituality means infinite kindness, endless forgiveness, unconditional softness. They deny their shadow entirely, believing that acknowledging it would make them less holy. These are the people who are trampled, drained, taken advantage of, because without access to their protective darkness, they become light without boundaries, an illumination that predators consume without hesitation. Then there are those who collapse completely into their dark side. These are the wounded ones who, after too much betrayal or disappointment, conclude that the only way to survive is to be cold but impenetrable. They confuse cruelty with strength, harshness with safety. They become isolated, unable to form genuine connections because their light is buried beneath layers of armor. Their darkness eventually devours them from the inside, turning them bitter, resentful, suspicious of every heart that tries to love them. But you belong to a third and extremely rare group, the integrated ones, the ones who walk in both realms without denying either, the ones who know that compassion requires strength and strength requires compassion. You do not reject your darkness, you understand it. You do not worship your light, you embody it. You use each side as a tool, not as an identity. This capacity to hold contradictions without collapsing, to remain whole while carrying paradox, is something even angels cannot do. And 72 hours ago, when they saw you activate and deactivate your shadow with impossible precision, they convened to understand what they had witnessed. 3 angels gathered, ancient beings whose memories stretch across epochs. The first spoke with disbelief. In eons of observing souls, I have never seen one move through shadow without stain. This breaks everything we understand about corruption. The second added, Our laws say darkness contaminates instantly. If this human returned pure, then perhaps the laws are incomplete, or this one is operating at a level beyond the frameworks we were given. The third angel, whose own fall from grace took 1,000 years to reconcile, whispered, "I touched darkness once. It took a millennium of purification to recover even a fragment of my light. And yet this human enters it, uses it, and exits in seconds, entirely intact. This defies angelic comprehension." The silence that followed was heavy. These beings, revered for their wisdom, were forced to admit that a human, you, possessed a capacity they did not. "Perhaps," the first angel said carefully, "this chosen one represents a new kind of evolution." The second added, "And if there is one, there may be many." The third concluded in awe, "If integrated humans exist, then the hierarchy we assumed for ages must be re-examined. These beings carry a wholeness we cannot achieve. They were forged in worlds of blended shadow and light, and thus they can hold both without destruction. This is why your power terrifies them, not because it is dangerous, but because it is unprecedented. Demons know only destruction. Angels know only creation. But you, chosen one, were forged through suffering and illuminated by grace. Your scars became your scripture. Your shadows became your shield. Your heartbreaks became your training grounds. Every moment you thought God had abandoned you was actually a moment He was sharpening your duality, constructing a soul that could survive what angels could not endure. And now your mastery is unfolding. When a situation needs healing, your light flows effortlessly. You forgive, comfort, restore, uplift. When a situation requires protection, your darkness rises, firm, sharp, unyielding, refusing to allow harm to persist. You switch between these states like a warrior who knows exactly which weapon the battle demands. And the miracle is that you never lose one while using the other. Compassion remains intact. Strength remains accessible. This makes you spiritually unstoppable. So now, chosen one, hear this truth. What you believed was your flaw, your ability to be fierce one moment and gentle the next, is actually the signature of spiritual evolution. What you thought were weaknesses, your scars, your shadows, your resilience, are the very traits that make angels step back in reverence. Your dark side is not sin. It is your guardian. Your light is not naivety. It is your purpose. And your integration of both is the crown placed on you by a God who knew you would have to navigate a world where purity alone cannot survive. If your soul feels the truth of this, if you know your duality is divine, write 797 in the comments to affirm your integrated power. Like this video to strengthen the message in the algorithm. Subscribe to this channel to continue awakening the gift within you, and share this message with another warrior who walks between light and darkness without losing themselves. The world needs integrated souls to rise together. Your evolution is not only real, it is sacred.